Hi everyone, welcome to the Creator's Attic. This is Audrey. Today I am here to show you a simple idea that I came upon. I'm making some of these journaling cards, and it is getting closer to spring and Valentine's Day is coming up, and I wanted to just show these simple journaling cards that I made, and you don't have to use coffee dyed paper on this one to get the aged effect. I just made up a little prototype here, and if you can see that the card looks aged here, but I've just simply used a few techniques that I just kind of came up with and put a sticker here, and I've done all kinds of things to this, but I've used distress inks and just some bits and bobs that I had around, and just made a cute little journaling card that looks somewhat aged. And so anyway, I wanted to share, maybe make one or two of these with you on video, and let's just see what happens. I don't have a plan after this one except just to kind of show you the basic technique, and then how I'll decorate it can go from there. So let's, I'm not, also, to those who are following my field guide series, I have not forgotten about that. I have just simply, I just simply wanted to pop this video in there because I got just so excited about it. So basically, I'm going to remove this piece of paper so I can show my glue mat. And I'm going to back away just a little bit. And I have different things laying around. And you can use so many different things on this. You do not have to worry so much about not having the correct tools or supplies. You can do this with so many different options. So basically, I'm going to show you how I started. And I wanted to get a kind of a solid base so I could just kind of tuck this in to in my journals one way or another. But it just gives somebody a little extra writing place, and it's just beautiful. Basically, what I used was an index card and a playing card. They sell them at the Dollar Tree like this in a pack, and I just use those because they're kind of flimsy. But they do add a base once you get the Dollar Tree flimsy, I think they're Jot or something, flimsy index cards. And the reason why I'm using index cards instead of, and this as a base, there's another reason why I'm using this, because I'm going to get some of this smooth look off of this card. And so let's just go to it, and maybe I'll explain a little bit better as I go along. Hopefully I'll explain a little bit better as I go along. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of paper that I don't really care about. Let me grab it. Okay, so I have a magazine, and I am going to just glue on that. I'm going to grab my usual Scotch Create permanent glue stick here. Multi-purpose, but it is the permanent, and it'll do all sorts of little wonders with fabric and paper, and even this slick card. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my card aside for a second, and I'm going to take, I need to cover this up, and I'm not choosing to use gesso. That's a common thing to do when you want to cover up the card, but I'm not using gesso today. On this particular portion, I'm just going to make sure I get all around the card with my glue stick. And then I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't want to get glue on my index card. And I'm just going to lay this down somewhere where I know that I will have half of my card left. Okay, so I'm going to lay it down here. Doesn't have to be perfect. Basically, I'm just going to cut the other portion. I want it to be a little straight though. I'm going to cut the other, you have a minute to migrate with this glue, by the way. I'm just going to cut, not those scissors, those are fabric scissors. I'm going to cut the other half of this off, and I'm going to glue my glue here. I guess I need to use this again. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. That step is not, I'm not doing that step yet. Almost forgot. Okay, this is an important step to do in the meantime before you glue this card. I'm going to go ahead and cut around my card and cut this, let me use these scissors in case any glue get on them. I'm going to cut around the card, trying to get as close, let me see if I can get some more light, a little bit out from around this card, go a little bit around, and you know, you'll come to the edges and you may want to do around them, just don't cut them off, but a little bit, but we're going to fix that if you those corners up in a second. So just continue to cut just right up against the edge of that card, trying not to cut it off. And there's a reason why I'm doing this. Like I said, my lighting is not that great in here, like a ding dong. I decided to pull my overhead light. I turned it off, I guess, or I don't know, turned it off with the string, and then I pulled it back, went to turn it back on with the string that hangs down and set up the light switch, and I pulled it out of the fan, and so therefore I don't have a light right now. I'm going to have to take the fan apart or the whatever apart, or have someone come out and do it for me. So I'm kind of working in the dark, and that is not so great for a crafter, but anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I have this side, but I'm going to make sure that I don't have any glue on my card, because this part is going to be one of the parts that I'm going to be showing. So I'm going to glue this side of it really well. Make sure I get all the edges. I'm going to pick it up. All right, I'm getting rid of this. So I want to make sure I don't have any wet glue here. And I'm going to just stick this part down on the other part of the card. You may still get a little glue on your card, but the step that we'll do next may take care, or will take care of that. It did for me on the prototype. Okay, so now I have this glued down, but the reason why I went ahead and cut this card out is because I need to be able to see. I wouldn't have been able to see where to cut the card if I had just put both of these in here. I would have been holding it up trying to do the card. I hope I've been in frame. See if I can pull you out just a little bit more. Okay, I hope I was in frame there. Anyway, I'm going to cut around again, this card again, and this time I'm going to cut this out. And I can see because I went ahead and cut, like I said, I went ahead and cut the card. So I'm going to just quickly, you don't have to quickly, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to try to cut quickly without having my overhead light to help. Maybe I have to get it more on this lamp. It's kind of frustrating because I have the video overhead and and my light's over here, and I want to go over here so I can see in the light, but I need to try to keep you in frame too. So let's see, go back around, cut it out, cut it close, and I can cut it a little bit closer. I just don't really want to cut the card too much, and I cannot see. It's driving me crazy. Okay. Too, with Omicron and stuff going around, I kind of don't want anyone in the house right now to fixing my electrical stuff. I know that sounds terrible, but it's just really gotten bad around here. It's like every person I know, it seems like it's coming down with it or been exposed to it. Ugh. Okay, so anyway, this may not be perfect here, but I can fix that in a second. It looks okay. It's a little lopsided. That's okay. I can use my sanding tool. Okay, now I have a little bit of rough edges here, so I'm just going to take my We Are Memory Keepers. It has a 10 mil, 7 mil, and a 4 mil punch. I'm just basically going to try to use my, what did I use on the other one? The 4 millimeter. Okay, basically going to, probably should wait for this to dry, but I'm going to use my 4 millimeter and just kind of punch. And I turned it upside down like this so I can see if I'm in frame. Or not frame, but see if I can see the little corners in there. This kind of takes care of the corners that I may not have caught very well with the card, and that did not work. Okay. Okay, I'm basically going to go with a 7 millimeter here because I just messed that up. It's okay. Still be a pretty card. Just won't have the 4 millimeter corners like the other one. But, you know, we don't have to do them all the same. Okay, so now I have my card. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a sanding sponge or sanding block, and I'm going to take off a little bit of this coat so I can age it up. So here's what I'm just doing this. I'm just going to take my card and I'm going to lay it down so I can do it. I'm just going to simply just kind of do this number to it and see how I'm getting some of the, maybe I can scoop this up. You can see how I'm getting some of the card off. I mean the index card off. I'm wanting to do that because I'm wanting to have an uneven surface so I can age this up. So I'll put this a little bit closer so you can see it. But using the index card keeps, instead of like cardstock paper, it's a little bit thicker so it can be sanded a little bit more without going through to the card. At least that was the idea on the other one. Okay, so you can kind of see, hopefully, a little bit of the way that it's come off. Okay, I'm going to go around my edges briefly, really quick, to try to even out if I missed any spots with my when I was cutting. And the point is I really want to age this up because I want it to look a little bit older, like it's an old card in my journal, and you can really see that dust coming up here. Okay, I have this part. I think that for now I'm going to, and I'm going to go in different directions because I want it to really give it that scratched up look. As you can see in this card, it really has a kind of a scratched up look, and I see a lot of playing cards that come across my way that have this aged, this scratch look to them because they're so aged and the wax has been worn off of them and they've just been well used. And that's what kind of gave me the idea of trying to recreate that look with this journaling card. Or this card like this. This one is really working well. It's really coming off, as you can see, hopefully. Okay, I'm just going to put this off, and I'm just going to do this. And it's my craft room. So, anyway. I'm going to check under the light and see if I just may want to scrape just a little bit more off. And as you ink, you'll be able to tell if you want to age it up anymore, if you just want to kind of stop with the brush. But this kind of lends itself to for a little bit of error because we are aging it up and it's not supposed to be perfect. Okay, I have the card. See if I zoom you in just a little bit. Maybe you can see a little bit better, the card a little bit better. Maybe some of this scratch stuff. Okay, I'm going to zoom you out so you can see a little bit better, and hopefully I'll keep you in frame. Okay, so now I'm going to take one of my little brushes, and I'm going to take, first of all, I'm going to take, not that one, that is not what I wanted. I pulled so many things out because I had so many different little ideas around this that my things are covered with bags. Okay, here we go. Here is Vintage Photo. I am going to use the Vintage Photo first because I want to just lightly begin to brush over this card. Just very lightly. Just not putting a lot of pressure down, just kind of, and it's great if you get a few of these areas where you went a little harder with the ink. That's okay, but I'm not wanting to really brown this up that much because I'm going to come in with another color. And okay, so I kind of have this aged up a little bit with this, as you can see. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my antique linen. And this is going to be where I'm going to focus more on getting into the grooves because this is going to take that white off the card. So I'm going to take a little brush kind of like this. And I'm going to really rub this in a little bit more to get a little bit more of the yellowed look. Wow. I just got a new antique linen, and it really kind of darkened this card a little bit more. Okay. This rough surface allows for you to have the ink to soak in a little bit more because you've kind of taken the, so to speak, film off of the top of the index card. So I've just done this one side just for the purpose of the video. Now, I have a little bit more I may want to come in here and do. Okay, so I have this now. Now, I can always come back. Do you see how this like leaves these little indentions in here? That's really kind of neat because it gives it an aged, a little bit of aged. And there's no problem in coming back over this. If you find some areas that you may not want so darkened, you can come back and sand this over a little bit if you want to. I'm just showing you this for purposes of this. And then come back with the antique linen and brush over that a little bit lighter. And you can get rid of some of those darker spots if you don't want them there. But I kind of like them there. Okay. My other antique linen was, I had to kind of really get into it, to, even though I would wet it, to get the color out. And this one is just juicy. Okay, so next I'm going to take my antique photo. I guess it is kind of antique photo, vintage photo. And I'm going to take my brown dauber. I'm going to go around, now I'm going to go around the edges. And I'm just going to, I want to brown up my card a little bit so it looks a little bit more framed. And you can do the other side because you obviously want to get this white off. But look at the difference so far with the, I know there's a glare, can't help that. I had to turn one of my other lights on a little bit brighter to be able to see. So it's coming up on springtime and Valentine's Day, and a lot of you probably haven't even begun to think about, or you haven't begun to think about the much about spring. It's still freezing here. It's not freezing actually, but I say it's freezing. I'm in South Georgia, right above the Florida line, so it's really not freezing as it would be for some of you guys that are up there in the snow. But anyway, this is what we have now. This is your surface of the card. And you can put more ink on it. You cannot put as much ink on it. You can do whatever you want to do. But now I have this rough look. So I was thinking about springtime because I need to get a huge jump on my cards, because on my spring journals, because I tend to work a little bit slower than a lot of other people because I'm very meticulous about some of what I put in my journal and how I decorate. And I am not a speedster. I am also not one of those that mass makes a lot of things. I like to think about each and everything. I'm going to take a baby wipe and just get some of that dust from that sand, the index card off my desk. Okay, I'll let that dry just a minute. I'm one of those that doesn't like to mass make everything, because I kind of like to think about every little creation that I make. I may make some mass things to put in my store. I'm going to grab a little bit of soda. Let's see. I may want to mass make some things for my store, but it's pretty much after I've fallen in love with the prototype. Okay, so here's what, again, I'm going to look at the prototype, and here's what we have at the moment. Okay, so you can see there's been a little bit more work done. I had some beautiful flowers, and when I think, I put love, this had love on it. It can go as a Valentine's Day little type deal, or it can go as a springtime deal, but I ended up, you don't have to have these exact stickers. You can have flower ones from like the washi stickers. I have so many of those, but I just thought these were so pretty. They have a little bit of 3D effect to them, but these came from the Dollar Tree, and they have a shine, and I'm going to show how I knocked the shine off of this. It's probably, many of you may have already figured it out, but okay, so I've had my card here. I've inked around the edges, and now I want to kind of lay down and see what I have to work with. I have a pretty, I don't have to use all of these. I have a pretty yellow here, a rose, and that makes me think about Valentine's Day and springtime. I also have this. I could lay this down. I think, I went with a pink one last time in the prototype, like a darker pink. And I did have to trim this sticker a little bit, but it did just have to it was kind of proportioned properly to the card. Like this one, I think, may be may overtake the card a little bit, but it's just kind of personal preference. This one's pretty. It's also pink. It is a little bit bigger on the top compared to the prototype. I'm just trying to decide. I don't have to have stems. I could just do a regular rose, but it's a little small. The pink rose. It's pretty. I also have some leaves that I could probably stick under it. That might be pretty. But I think I'm going to revert to my, I think I'm going to go back to this one that it looks like it's it's kind of starting to turn. It didn't quite, it didn't quite fully bloom, and it's just kind of starting to fade a little bit. I kind of like that. It kind of lends itself to the little bit older look. Okay, before I do anything, I'm going to take my sticker, and I want to do this, before I put it on the card, because I don't want gesso to get all over my card. So what I'm going to do is, where is that magazine I've flung somewhere? Okay, here we go. I put this down, and I'm going to take my sticker. I probably won't need this petal, but I may decide to come back and use it. But I'm just going to take it, and it is still on the plastic. I'm going to take some, this is Art Basics. You can use any clear, transparent gesso, but you want it to be the matte gesso. This is, see how it says clear matte on the back? Clear matte ground acrylic. So it says you can apply it on the surface with a paintbrush or mix with other mediums, blah, blah, blah. But I just took a little bit and squirted it into a soda cap because I wasn't going to need that much. And I'm just going to, you can use a brush or whatever, but I'm just going to use, as I have affectionately heard it called, the finger tool. And I'm just going to put this over, and I'm not using a heavy gesso. I'm using, this is a transparent, clear gesso. It doesn't look very clear at the moment, but it will when it dries. So I'm kind of doing this. I keep my little baby wipe handy here. Wipe my finger off. I'm going to take this over, and I still have it's still drying, but I'm going to speed up the process and jump over to my heat gun real quick, which is plugged in. It won't reach this far. I'm going to go ahead and quickly dry this so we can get to the next step. I didn't have this too long with my heat gun because it is plastic, but I have this, and now it doesn't have the shine. So I'm going to peel my sticker off. You can use so many different things besides stickers. You can use, you could actually use pictures from field guides or pretty much all kinds of different things. You can use old pictures. You can glue down old pictures and make them look like kind of like they're on a background, and maybe use, if they're black and white, you can use them to, you can use black around the edges and just make it look like it has a frame. Different things. You can use die cuts. Okay, I'm going to kind of place this down a little bit where I want it, and if you're worried about the stickum on the back of your, let me put this up, the stickum on the back, you can take the glue stick and just run it behind it. This one seems like it may not have as much tackage as the other one, so I'm just going to kind of run it over my glue stick and just try not to get gobs of glue on the front, top, whatever. Okay, here we go. Putting this down. Alright, now I want to bring out the color of my flower a little bit. You can, like, this is your personal preference. You can leave it alone, or you can bring out a little bit of the coloring in this. So I'm going to try to choose a color that is not I'm going to take over this too much. And I found that instead of using a brush to brush in the color around, I really used my dauber, and it helps. But I just tried to use a lighter color. What I don't really know if I want to use, kind of want to get something with a little bit darker, but I don't want to. I'm just so afraid that my aged mahogany may be a little bit much. You can always test it on another sheet of paper, you know, another one of these if you have them laying around, but I don't want to, I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pink dauber, and I was just using picked berry, no, what is it called? Picked raspberries. I get them confused. Distress ink has festive berries and picked raspberry, and I kind of think they're like, I keep them like right above each other and on my ink tray, and sometimes I get the names a little backed up, confused, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to take my pink and just kind of lightly dab it in the, I'm using my improvised medicine bottle with the Fabrifix glued on foam things on the top, and I'm just going to kind of check it out. Let's see. Check it out to see what kind of effect it has, and I am putting it over the brown. Okay. I found out that is kind of pretty. It adds, I think it's actually very pretty. It adds some richness and a little bit more color. So now I might fan it out just a little bit more and just kind of get a little bit of that color kind of bleeding out from just being around the edge. And it's really adding a nice pop that complements that rose color. I may need to go back in just a little bit. And I'm just doing it lightly. I'm not pressing down very much. I'm just doing a light brush. Okay, I might want to add a little bit of hue here, so that's where I'll just maybe kind of get the corners a little bit more. It's not much of a hue here, but just a little faint one. Okay, so I have this now, and I have this card, and I could, I've already sanded this down so I could decal the back the way that I did the front, but I'm going to leave it right here so we can decorate it and not take forever. On this video. So on the prototype, I'm going to bring it back over that I did before. I had this, a little piece of bits. I keep these bits and bobs of lace and things when I pull them off. I also keep little scraps of fabric, and lots of times I will coffee dye my fabric, and these also would work well. Ooh, I see this. Okay. I took a book apart, and I had some of the binding from the book, and I stuck it in my thing. I mean, I could always bunch this up a little bit and then add a little bit more floral. And it's like this. It's hanging off a little bit. It's okay, actually. I like it kind of gives it a little bit more of an older kind of aged, grungy, whatever you're going for kind of look, and I actually kind of like that. This is an older bit. I could ruffle this up a little bit and cut it, but I feel like I need something down here, so I'm just wondering if I need to bring in another petal or something. It may have looked like the petal was dropping, and this is one that I just sewed a while ago. I'm just gonna kind of see. Just kind of like put it to the side. I'm not sure if I like it or not, but it could look like one of the petals is kind of falling down a little bit. It might add a little bit more. I'm going to leave it there for now, and if I decide to take it off, that's okay, I will. It just seems like it needs a little bit more of this. Alright, I'm coming back. I'm going to quit fussing. Okay, so I have this, and that may not be... it's really not really popping like I want it to. And I could do some things with this, but I'm going to see what else I have. I do have some gold. I do have some gold piece, a gold piece like this, and that may actually be pretty. I could go in and do some gold accents on it. Let me see what else I have. Digging around in the bag, checking it out. Have all kinds of little cuts. I'm bad about not throwing everything away. That's pretty also. I think I may go back to this, but I wonder if I could do a little layering. Let's see. I could bring this little piece of the webbing from the book binding back in, and I could just put a little snippet of this on here. Okay, now that. What else could I do? Let's see. I have another piece, like I have of this other stuff that I just had a little bit left, that I could also just kind of do the same thing across the top. I could possibly add in a little bit of the gold just on top of that. And I've also just kind of catty-cornered it. I may do that and just add some gold accents. So this one I didn't add anything on top of it, but that's another thing keeping in mind is layering trim. Okay, I'm going to just stick with this since it's since I have it, and there's a little, I gotta cut that off. And I'm going to kind of fray this out a little bit to make it, it's kind of crooked, okay. Fade it, pull this out to kind of make it look like it's been aged a little bit, and that much, okay. Then I'm going to decide how much I want on my card, and I'm going to do this little number. Wow, I did not use my fabric scissors on that. I used my other paper cutting scissors on that. Okay, I have this frayed a little bit, and if I don't want as much frayage on it, that's okay. I can always cut a little bit more off, but I have this. So I'm going to take my Fabrifix, and this is like a hot glue, but it's dry. I mean, it's not as cold, and it's a fast grab, quick drying glue that will do fabric to paper and paper to paper, fabric to fabric, and so on and so forth. Will actually adhere these little metal adornments like that as well. Sometimes I use E6000 to do that, but okay. Anyway, I'm going to pop this back on here. I do want a little bit of overhang because I want to be able to see the back of this, for me personally, I do want to be able to see a little bit, needs a little bit more right there. I popped it on, kind of popped it on to the trim instead of the card, so I didn't get too much oozing all over the card. Okay, and this gives you a minute to also migrate with this. But back to what I was saying, I wanted to be able to see a little bit of this coloring as well. Maybe I want this to hang off just a tish more, make it a little bit more shabby, or kind of that older, shabbier, worn look. Okay, so, and then I said I was going to pop a little bit of this gold on here just to bring some coloring out, but let's see, maybe not so much. That I think I may revert back to this one here, this one that I have here, and I'm actually going to take my fabric scissors. And you know what they say about odd numbers sometimes being a little bit more appealing. Something about it, about having 5s or 3s or odd numbers may add a little bit more. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think I'm going to cut it right after this one here. So you don't have to do that, but for some reason it just makes sense. Fray this out just a little bit from the edge. And I may want to put it on there a little bit more, even more catty-cornered to it. So let me see if I can pull you in just a little bit more so you may be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better. Let me move this. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just dot just a little bit of the Fabrifix on to the edges. Sometimes I do keep my Fabrifix in a Sugar Bell's icing piping bottle, but the stuff that I had in there, it seemed to dry up pretty quickly when I didn't use it all right away, and I just went ahead and just went back to the bottle. But you know, you can put it for easier squeeze into if the thing starts bothering your hand. This is a little bit stiffer, but okay. So I have this. Now, I'm still not sure. I'm gonna back out a little bit because I feel like I'm gonna get you out of frame. Okay. I still feel like I may need a little something here. May need something to take the edge off of this. I'm gonna look in my bits and bops, little thing that I keep. And a lot of times when I'm cutting lace or trim, I will come across a piece of something that I will hang on to. And in this case, I've hung on to this. So I don't know if that's a little bit too much. So I may think about it. Just kind of take this away because it was a gold and white alternating, but it does have a little bit of just that white, and it's kind of flower looking. Don't want to put it over there, don't want to put it there. I just play a lot of times with things, putting them in different places, seeing where they might go, work best. Sometimes I'll abandon the idea and totally, you know, go with something else. Okay, I kind of like that. It may be a little much for some of you, but I think I'm just gonna add that on there. So instead of the charm like on this one, I think I'm going to use just this little piece of excess trim that I had left over. Pop it on here, and I can take it off carefully if I don't like it later on and put something else in. Stick. I just was bragging about this glue, and then okay, stick. Maybe I didn't put enough on. Okay, now I still have this down here that I want to do a little bit something more because I did put that down there. So what I may do is pull out a little bit of this gold from up here, bring it down into the card just a little bit more by taking some of this antique paste. And this is Pintart, and I believe it comes from Hungary. Sometimes you can find it on Amazon. Some of it is based with an orange oil, as you can see. This one that is a base with vitamin in it, and I'm not quite sure which one I want to use, so I'm just going to kind of test them on my hand. Okay, so I have this. I like that because it's a little bit more aged and not as quite as bright as I think this gold one is going to be, but I want to make sure because it doesn't take much. A little bit goes a very long way. So I'm going to kind of compare. That's a hard choice here. Let me see what we're working with. I don't know if you can really see that, but what I'm trying to do here, I think I'm going to go with the more bronze color. I'm just going to put a little bit on my finger, and definitely want to wash your hands after this, but it has never bothered me on my hands as long as I've but I just usually for safety's sake wipe it off. So I'm going to put, I think I want to put just a little bit on my card here. Ugh. Okay, so it is sticking a little bit more to my card since I do have it sanded, and if I get too much in a place like that, you can come back in. Like I did get this dot. I wasn't really thinking about the absorption of the card as compared to regular. You can always come in and sand a little bit of it off and come back over it with a little bit of the antique vintage stuff. Okay, I need to be a little bit more careful with this stuff. It just seems like it really wants to glob on there. So this may be a abandoned ship idea, but I do want to put a little bit on the flower petal here just to kind of bring out a little bit. And with this being three-dimensional, this flower, it's really picking up a little bit of that gold, and it's kind of drawing you in. So that may be the key. Instead of trying to put it around on the card, just letting it pick up on these little bit of these bumps in the card, and it'll shine. See, it's kind of shining out a little bit, and I am barely putting my finger in there, just barely. So I may not want to put it around the card as much. I think I'm going to go over that part where that got there. And like I said, it's a little bit of more of a grungy card, so it's okay if it has this worn look. If it has a little bit of this down here, it's okay. See if I can get a little bit up here in the corner. Like I said, I wasn't wanting to put it on with my finger. It seemed to not want to work as well with this surface. Gosh, I'm way close to you guys. Okay, sorry about that. I'm not really feeling that, but wonder if I took my Q-tip and just dabbed it, would that be a little bit? Would that go on a little bit? Just a tiny bit. Okay. No, not so much. not so much. Retreat. Okay, I'm going to grab my baby wipe and see if I can get a little bit of that off. I hope I don't mess this up. You are seeing it live here. This happens in the craft room. It does. In real life. It's real life, people. Okay. And that's why, you know, I like to do this on tape so you can see on video and do some of these things a little bit experimental, because it does really happen to everyone. I know it happens to you. It happens to everyone. And we just have to kind of work around it. Now I have a hole up here. That's okay, because I'm going to hit it up with my brown dauber and kind of replace a little bit of what I had. And since this is grungy, a little grungy, it's okay. Where did I put my brown dauber? Like I said, sometimes I get so much on my desk. I don't like having this much stuff out on my desk, but I wanted to have options when I did this video of things to grab from. Because when I have a messy desk, it frustrates me and I can't find things like I want to. And do you see my brown dauber anywhere? If you do, just shout through the video and tell me. It's on the floor. Okay. Okay, I'm going to brown that up a little bit with my vintage photo. I'm going to take a little bit of I'm going to leave that gold stuff alone. I think I have enough on the card to get the point. And I'm looking for antique linen. I'm going to go back over that just a little bit. And this is how you can fix things here. And so it happens. But we're going to fix it. And that's the thing with these. I have a little bit of this pickberry on here. And that's how you can just kind of go over it. And come on. There you are. Okay. Talk to it a little bit. Nice card. Okay. So I pretty much fixed it. And it kind of added to the edged effect here. So there we go. So here we have 2 cards that we've done. And these are beautiful, and they look very aged. And you can go and you can add a little bit more ink on there if you want to fill in some of those spots. It's up to you, but here we go. Here's what we have. So I hope you've enjoyed learning to take a simple index card and do something spectacular with it, or just get some ideas on how to use it. So if you liked this video, please hit like and subscribe if you're not subscribed to my channel. Please, I always want more people on here. And also I have an Etsy store. It's the Creator's Attic, just like the name of this YouTube video. It can be found on Etsy. There may be a link, I think there is, on my YouTube channel to my store. But please come and check out what I have in my store. I have all different sorts of things that are junk journal and craft related, including something that's been very popular has been my, I do have ephemera kits with vintage and antique items of all different sorts in that. And another popular thing in my store is my lace trim and trims. Is like an assortment sampler kind of thing, and you can get either 8-inch plus pieces or 16-inch or more pieces, and there are different options in there. So go to that if you want to find some trims, and I have vintage and newer trims in there. Okay, so there's my plug. You've got it. All right, have a great rest of your beginning of the new year, and please join me again. I am going to continue to do my field guide series as well. All right, happy crafting, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks. Bye-bye.